In the name of the merciful God, the source of all mercy, peace and the mercy and blessings of God be with you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining me today for this continuing discussion on 30 days to a better you. Each day we look at one quality that we can cultivate so that by the end of the month of Ramadan, we have developed 30 new qualities, or we have enhanced these qualities. So today we're dealing with, under the subtopic of solidifying your relationships, the specific topic today is rekindling that love that you had for your spouse on the day that you got married. Now, you probably heard the expression, the seven-year itch. What does that refer to? It refers to a widely shared experience that after a few years of marriage, people start itching for something new. How can we safeguard from letting that get out of hand? Because if one were to follow that itch and try to scratch it, that can lead to extramarital affairs, or in any case, it can lead to deep dissatisfaction within the marriage. And of course, that would not be healthy for each individual within the marriage, either for you or your spouse, because you'll be unhappy. And your spouse will sense that, your spouse will be unhappy, you'll have an unhappy family. So we need to nip this in the bud, and we need to prevent that itch from occurring. And if it does occur, we have to resist the urge to scratch it, and we have to, in fact, take remedial action so that we can rejuvenate that love that we had for our spouse on the day that we got married. So let's look at what the Quran says about it and the guidance of our Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace. First, it is mentioned in the Quran in the 30th chapter, in the 21st verse, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. From among the signs of God is that He created for you spouses of your own kind, so that you may dwell with them in tranquility. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And He has placed between you love and mercy. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ. And in that there are signs from God for a people who reflect. So we should be people that think and reflect, and we understand the matters before us, and we should try to cultivate that love. In fact, we could be asking now, where is that love that God already put in the hearts of the married couple? Where is it after a few years of marriage? And how do we rekindle that love? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, demonstrated in his living example the attitude of playfulness towards one's spouse, and keeping the marital situation lively and happy. It is related, for example, by Aisha, one of the mothers of the believers, that she once raced with the Prophet, peace be upon him. They ran, and she beat him in the race. And sometime later, after she had grown a bit older, perhaps put on a little bit of weight, they ran again, and this time the Prophet, peace be upon him, won the race. And he said, this is to even the score from the last time, which means that in a humorous way, he made mention that he was keeping score and that he evened the score. This a playful level of competitiveness sometimes makes life a little bit more interesting. And so the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, demonstrated that he was willing to spend time with his wife and to have a lighter moment. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would also, joke with people around him, and we can expect that he had a similar attitude towards his family members as well. More than this, we can add that the Quran tells us about the relationship between husband and wife. Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahun, in the second chapter of the Quran, the 187th verse. So they are clothing for you, and you are clothing for them. So the husband and wife should live with each other in such a close relationship that they're like the clothing for each other. Like you're not going to go out without your clothing. So don't go out without your spouse. Of course, if you can help it, sometimes you do need to go out. But the idea is that the spouse should be so much a part of you as your clothing is a part of you. And When we think more about what the Quran says, in the 4th chapter, in the 19th verse, the Quran enjoins upon men to live with their wives in kindness, وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and not to hate, the various aspects or qualities or behaviors of one's spouse. So we need to cultivate this. How can we cultivate this and bring this back as a reality in our lives? How can we rekindle that love that we had for our spouses on the day that we got married? So first of all, reflect back, think about that day of your marriage, look back at your wedding photos if you have to, just to refresh your memory about how it felt that day when you got married, and think consciously about how you can bring that back. Maybe as the years pass and you get older, the love that you have for your spouse is no longer that, so much built on physical attraction. Maybe it has turned to be more platonic, but nonetheless, there should be love. So how can you cultivate that? One way is to perform a random act of kindness for your spouse. Do something simple. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. It can be something as simple as bringing a glass of water to your spouse. Something like this. Tell your spouse that you love him or her. When you do that, then it will change the way that you think, because when you say "I love you," and especially if you want that to be true, then it will change the way you think, and that will itself have an impact on the level of love that you feel towards your spouse. Moreover, when your spouse hears that, he or she will respond and say "I love you too," and so it goes up and up in a spiral. It gets bigger and bigger, and it grows, the love between the two of you. And then the relationship becomes happier, and the love grows even stronger because the relationship is happier. So we need to cultivate this. And I pray that by the grace of God, we will, in fact, cultivate this. Let's work on it on this blessed day of Ramadan. And thank you for joining me today for this continuing series on 30 Days to a Better You. Today, we were looking at solidifying relationships, and under that subtopic, we dealt with rekindling that love that you had for your spouse on the day of your marriage. Tomorrow, God willing, we will look at spending quality time with our children and thus solidifying our relationships with our children. Thank you for watching. Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum. Support us today and help us share the message of Islam with people across the globe. Thank you, and may God bless you and your loved ones with the very best always.